We are up and running. Still got people piling in, but we're going to get started here. And this session is being recorded. JB and JC here. Thanks for joining us for August. Ask Us Anything from FFL Consultants. And JC, you in the house?
I'm in the house. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, you're doing great. Thanks for making it. We know you had some tight travels today. Appreciate all that. Your help with the chat room later on would be awesome.
I
All right.
will take care of everything for you.
All
Don't
right.
you worry about it.
All right, guys. So there's our information. If you don't know us, first time visitors or first time attendee or just watching us on YouTube or something, JC and JB, we're independent consultants with the National Shooting Sports Foundation and co-founders of FFL Consultants and FFLC Academy. You got a FFL compliance question, you give us a call. Your first call is always free. So we're going to jump right into this. We still got people joining in, but we have a special guest with us today. First, let me run through the agenda and we'll get to our special guest. Today, we're going to give you obviously our state and federal updates and anything else is critical for you to know. We're going to talk a little bit about Compliance Corner. We take our Compliance Corner questions and issues each month from all the calls you guys make to us throughout the month. We look through that, JC and I plow through it and try to figure out, okay, what are we hearing a lot about and what do we need to prepare more training for? So bringing some good stuff for Compliance Corner. We're real excited to be talking about our next session. Should be breaking tonight. We had some bugs in it this morning. We thought it went live yesterday. Recognizing and preventing straw purchases. Coming to you, coming to your employees, training for all of you to prevent straw purchases. We'll go ahead and get true or false. We love true or false. Seems like you guys think that's the best part of this session, so we'll make it good for you. And then rapid fire, ask us anything, get your questions answered. So again, type those in at the bottom of that chat room. We will get to those in order. We got Eric in, we got Jameson, nice to see you, man. Appreciate you making it. We got Goldmine Pawn, we got Jeff, we got lots of great people in the house today. So again, thanks for joining us and being part of our community. So first things first, we have one of our VIPs in the community and on the chat today. We got Brittany and Chance out in Mississippi. And I was down there last month. If you guys are there, just say hi. But I said, what are you guys doing with all these AKs over on this shelf? Literally, we counted them. There was more than 58. They're down to 58. But Chance and Brittany acquired a business, acquired an inventory from a dealer going out of business, and they are sitting on 58 AKs, all Century Arms, all 7.62, and all in brand new in the box condition. So we're not here to broker anything. We're sharing the news. I said to Chance, I said, heck, let us help you push these. There's lots of folks out there I know have been trying to get these. They're beautiful. I almost brought one home with me, but getting on the plane was a little bit of a challenge and wasn't ready for that. So if you guys have any desire at all to put some AKs on your wall, they're beautiful, they're new, they're in the box, just contact Brittany or Chance right there on the slide, or contact me directly and I'll hook you up with them. You guys negotiate the prices, and that's what I promised I would do. So moving right along into our next special guest. Each month we try to bring somebody in. We've missed that for the last couple of months, but today we got one of our range development partners, a person we trust and rely on, in many ways, Stuart Mullen. So Stuart, are you out there?
I'm here.
All right, there you go. So, but still, you, me, JC, NSSF, we've known each other for what? I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years. Been a long
Years,
time.
yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm going to hand this over to you. Just so the audience knows, Stuart, again, is our go-to guy for any of you asking about ranges, costs, development, acquisitions, building, rebuilding, redoing. I'm just going to leave it there, Stu, and let you run away with it. Let me know when I need to change a slide for you.
I will. I will. Thanks so much for having me, JB, JC. I appreciate it. Two things I want to talk about today, just briefly, and they both revolve around time as it relates to constructing an indoor shooting range. So again, I'm Stuart Mullen. I build gun ranges all across the country and have been doing it for a long time. Later, I'll get into another opportunity into my background, but here are two, what I hope are pro tips, eye-opening mindsets that if you're considering at some point building a range, two tips on time. The first one is to start off, I want to help you leverage your resources, your time, your money, your knowledge, and your relationships. And JB, if you go to the next slide, let's focus on just time as your resource here. And that is to say, in 9 times out of 10, what I face are folks who don't realize what they're going to be spending their time on in this process. And that is 90 to 95% of it is going to be focused on things other than shooting range equipment. So it's fun to have those conversations about bullet traps and stall walls and baffles and target retrieval systems with action target and range systems and rushing. But to get to groundbreaking, start construction, 90 to 95% of your time is going to be spent on other issues. What those other issues look like is what I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But an analogy is I set out to build a vehicle, and first move is to go to the tire store and buy wheels and tires. Big mistake. I need to figure out if I'm building a desert truck or a sports car. And within that decision, I'm then going to move to frame and motor, transmission, suspension, all of the things that make that car operational need to be purchased and assembled so that then I can, at the end of that process, go buy my wheels and tires, my range equipment. Now, of course, you're going to have those conversations about range equipment because you got to price it. You got to know what's in your budget in the early stage of discovery. If you go to the next slide, JB. What that process overall looks like, I know you can't read this, but this gives you just a sense or a feel of our turnkey process from start to finish is usually 60 to 100 line items within the schedule, and you see the interdependence of discovery and budget and demographics, all linking each of those issues together as it relates to the number of shooting positions you're going to construct, amount of retail square footage. All of those decisions are key and critical and interlaced, along with real estate, zoning, how and when to engage an architect and a general contractor and your investors, and so on and so forth. Then we roll all of this up into a more legible snapshot of time, your schedule, in the next slide. And so those major issues are represented here. And so you see a little bit more clearly how the initial stage of discovery and budget process and demographics are going to impact the subsequent steps in the process. And for those who've not been through it before, realize that you're going to start, and then stop or pause. Let's say, for example, the green line across the page, your conversations with your equity investors are going to be generic and general and relational at first, and then you're going to get into zoning and into your budget and into your site selection, and you're going to have a more serious, focused conversation because you know more of the answers, and you're going to step towards securing that equity. And then finally, as you have your operating agreement together and you're closing your loan on the investment end of that time frame, you will have your third and kind of final phase of conversation. So stopping and starting and understanding that framework for how to navigate through this process, I think, is invaluable to the folks that I'm working with across the country to establish ranges. And I hope it's a pro tip that serves you well also. Then the next slide is just kind of a inspirational kind of vanity snapshot of some projects I've been involved with. And so to make efficient use of your time, I will end it there. There might be questions now or at the end of the session. I'm glad to field those. A more efficient way to get a lot more information from me about shooting range feasibility and the budget process and how to properly tailor your facility to your specific market and demographic so that it's supported accurately through the underwriting process and through your conversations with equity partners. Reach out to me. I think maybe, JB, you have a link to the landing page. And again, you'll be sent a mountain of information about upcoming webinar and also an online range conference I'm going to host in the near future.
Yeah, Stuart, that's a lot of great information. I've always wondered, I mean, as these guys are probably wondering as we get questions, how long is this entire process? I mean, you really, I mean, the one thing nice about you is you just do A to Z, right?
I do, yeah.
Yep.
The process, it depends on a couple of key factors. One is how long the site selection process takes and raising equity. And then if you have to go through a zoning approval process, those are kind of the 2 or 3 factors that are going to really potentially have a flexible amount of time associated with them. Whereas design and construction, those are known and set time frames. But the fastest, to answer your question, I've ever been through it is about 13 months. I usually tell people 18 to 24 months, start to finish.
Yeah. And one of the question I get all the time is say, I don't know, Cole Stewart. People say, they try to label or try to assign a price on the lane that's being built, meaning price per lane. If I'm building a 10-lane range or want to build a 10-lane range, it's going to cost me about X or Y. How do you guys do that? Do you guys come up with ballpark? I mean, is there a way? I know it's an estimate, but to give the audience kind of an idea, what are they looking at if they're thinking about building a range? What's the cost per lane?
Well, in today's market, if you're just starting out in the process, you've got to build a really detailed budget, which usually has about 60 line items in it. But the price per lane I would start out with is just assume across the board for a 25-yard position is going to be about $100,000 per lane for a 25-yard range. Now, that can change if you change the distance or you change the ballistic nature, if you want a more tactical configuration. It's also going to depend on the type of trap that you select. Many variables are going to play into that, so it's hard to get quickly to a definitive answer. But just at a high level, 100,000 is a good assumption to start with.
Yeah, it's funny that number hasn't changed in the last 3 to 5 years. I've been hearing that forever, and I guess it's all competitive based on systems and HVAC and air control and flow and the building itself and what's there, what's not there, et cetera, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
right.
It depends is a good answer.
Yeah. Salvatore says, what about outdoor ranges? Stuart, do you do outdoor ranges?
I have been involved in a few, working on one now in Virginia. So yes.
All right. All right. Well, hey, great. Stuart, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being a supporting vendor for FFLC. And yeah, come back at the top of the hour. We might have questions for you guys. If you have questions for Stuart, just punch them right into the chat room, and we'll get those answered quickly when we get to the top of the hour. Thanks a lot, Stuart, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.
All right. All right, guys, let's go through and give you some ATF and state updates. Well, these are just either reminders or new things that have popped up or things you just need to know. So starting October 1st, if you're in any of those southern border states and you're a Type 07, if you're a manufacturer, your life is changing. Come October 1st, you're now required to do the ATF Form 3310.12, the report of multiple sale or other disposition of certain rifles. You probably all know what those certain rifles are. Give us a call if you don't. Semi-automatic, magazine fed, over 22 caliber. That's probably it. Anyway, if you're a Type 01, Type 02, Type 07, you need to be filling out that form, and don't miss it. Get it sent in by the end of the qualifying business day. Here's a new one. JC, you brought this to my attention the other day. Heck, how'd I miss this? But anyway, we got the 3-day hold on all firearms being transferred in Maine, the state of Maine. What the heck happened up there? Effective, I guess, 8/9 last week. So if you are in the state of Maine, I sent this out to a few of you directly, in case you didn't know, but 3-day hold on all firearm transfers. It's really 72 hours from the time of purchase decision to the time of transfer to the customer or transferee. Very similar to what we did here in Colorado earlier this year, but it's a cooling off period. Think of it as a cooling off period. Somebody cannot be impatient, buy a gun, and do something bad with it. So supposedly that's a cooling off period. And if you have questions, you're from Maine, go ahead and drop us a line. I'll get more in touch with you regarding how to document this, or if you're worried about how to document it on your 4473, use box 32. Over in New Mexico, we brought this up last month, but we've had some people not paying attention, and they've been transferring without the new 7-day, we call it the 720-day rule, 7-day mandatory hold for any transfer in New Mexico. And that was effective May 15th. And if they get a delay on a background check, you have to wait up to 20 days or until proceeded. So again, 720 New Mexico. And let's talk about demand two letters. We've been getting an awful lot of calls on this lately. The demand two letters, first to explain, are sent to FFLs who had 25 or more guns traced to them during the previous calendar year, meaning the last 12 months, or calendar year, last year, with a time to crime of 3 years or less. That means more than 25 of your guns transferred made it to a crime scene and was involved in a trace over the last 3 years. Okay, so that's a big number. And the reason they put you on this program is so that the ATF has immediate access to your used gun acquisition records. It's a longer process to explain, but if you're on the Demand 2 program or just got put on it, you know it's a pain in the big old butt. So we're going to be talking a little bit about how to prevent straw purchases, how to make sure you're transferring only to qualified people. But the Demand 2 program, don't miss it. Every quarter, you've got to send those reports in. You'll get a nice reminder from the Tracing Center and the director of this program, good friend of ours. We talk to him very frequently. He's got a big job to do, but there's about just under 3,000 of you on this program. So if you're on the program, do not miss the cutoff. Do not miss the deadline. All right. Hey, we're going to throw this in here because we got a good success story. I think Ray, you might be on the call today, maybe not. But Ray called us last week and said, "Oh my God, you guys are great." I said, "What are you talking about?" "I know we're great, but what are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, Lockton just gave me $1,000 discount on my premium because I work with you guys. I'm one of your VIPs." I said, "No kidding. We didn't know they were that generous." So hey, if you're shopping insurance, looking to shop your insurance, maybe you got a recent premium upgrade or increase. Maybe you're just trying to shop around. Maybe you're trying to cut expenses, save some money. Locked in Affinity is one of our preferred partners. We support them, they support us, and they know what type of program we have in place for you guys, and that you're probably a lower risk FFL if you've got good training programs in place and good liability protection. So if you're thinking about shopping insurance, reach out to Lockton. There's our special link. It's LockedInAffinityOutdoor.com/FFLC. But if you go out there and fill out their questionnaire and their application, make sure you send them a little note. Tell them what you guys are friends with or supporters of or VIPs or members with JB and JC at FFL Consultants. And hopefully you get a nice gift like Raymond did. All right. Thanks for letting us know about that, Raymond. We don't really hear about those types of actions. All right, moving on to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States and ATF rulings. So, hey, we're all super excited. You hear it in my voice. I'm still celebrating from June 14th when they overturned the Chevron deference doctrine. Chevron doctrine, as it's called. Everyone referred to it as Chevron deference, whereby the many federal agencies took it upon themselves to overreach and stretch their powers and authority regarding laws that are actually on the books, and they stretch them to accommodate their own needs, desires, and situations, and basically made their own rules up, is how I describe it. So the biggest ruling shot down or impacted by the Chevron doctrine reversal was the Administrative Practices Act. That is an act that was implemented back in the 80s. And what it did, it allowed for allowed for federal agencies to manipulate, stretch, and embellish on all these different rulings, whether it be the ATF or other federal agencies. They created rulings that put more requirements on private industry. Long story short, we're saying bye-bye to the APA. The biggest place this had impact regarding our industry was with recent ATF ruling 2021 R-08F, which was the frames and receiver marking ruling. And we had some really good news come out of this since the doctrine was shot down or reversed or let's just say deleted, erased. The stabilizing arm braces were officially legalized again. So we keep getting calls. We're getting calls, weekly. Can I sell this? They're getting pictures of an AR pistol with an arm brace on it. Yes, you can sell. Arm braces are legal on AR pistols rather. They're legal on other firearms. You might find them on some of the shockwave type firearms, pistol grip firearms. We've seen them on those. Black Aces and different vendors are putting them on and sending them out. Customers can bring them in, you can pawn them, you can redeem them, you can sell them individually as pieces of plastic. They're simply accessories. So again, arm braces, stabilizing arm braces are illegal until further notice. Bump stocks are qualified as not machine guns. Yes, believe it or not, bump stocks are not machine guns anymore. So again, bump stocks are legal, so you can find those on the shelves and in your stores and maybe on firearms that are coming into your pawn locations. And the ATF they were found to have violated the APA, the Administrative Practices Act. We talked about that. I'm sure there will be lawsuits down the road continuing monthly and annually as we go forward based on everything that's occurred over the last many years. But for now, just realize these two pieces are big steps for our industry. Obviously, the ATF has already mentioned and filed appeals or plan to file appeals on just about everything that's getting reversed or ruled on. They don't like it, and we'll just continue to hear more, and we'll keep you guys updated as changes occur, as any more changes occur. We got questions sent in to us to talk today. Has this changed anything with NFA suppressors or silencers? And the NFA branch, the answer is no. The NFA branch is absolutely totally separate from the ATF Chevron deference area of ruling that was discussed and in the news. Nothing has changed with NFA. For all of you who do deal with suppressors, you already know that suppressor approval is super lickety split for any individuals applying online and using e-forms. The suppressor approval process still takes some time if you're submitting paper forms for individuals, and definitely takes longer if you're submitting a transfer for a trust, a gun trust. Because there's so many people, it's a whole different process of legal review, not only for background checks, but an ATF attorney actually has to stop and read the trust documents to make sure they comply with what is required. So that's still going to always be a bit of a wait. And then is there any difference in the zero tolerance program? Has it been eliminated? No. Is there any less impact on the auditors and inspectors that are going out visiting you from the ATF? The answer is no. We're not finding any leniency. We're not finding, JC is not finding any pullback in the amount of, and we're not finding any pullback in the amount of ATF hearings or warnings or notice of revocations or suspension. There's no diminishing in that area. Still coming along pretty fast and furious. We don't know if there's an agenda here, but it has not impacted zero tolerance. So continue doing what you're doing. Do it great, do it well, and get educated. Okay. More updates on the ATF FBI NICS. Bipartisan Safer Community Act promises of giving us a firearm handlers check program. Remember that? Basically, background checks for your employees that work in a FFL in a gun dealer location. That's not here. So we can't do anything about that. Not up to us. Our friends over at FBI NICS say it's not up to them either. There's discussions between ATF and FBI. There's lawyers involved. There's a lot of people involved, but nothing on the agenda. And then the used gun stolen firearm lookup database. Remember that? Oh my God, you guys have been asking for this for years, especially the pawnbrokers. Wouldn't it be great to be able to basically screen a gun serial number before you brought it in for pawn or a used gun purchase or consignment? Well, nothing on the agenda, nothing on the calendar. The best we hear is maybe January. That's actually got more promise than the background check program. So stay tuned. We'll try to keep you updated. All right. Let's go to Compliance Corner. Okay, guys, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. We just want to make sure you know we have a restricted states guide. And many of you, for some unknown reason, it might be because of your UPS shipping or freight delivery services that you're dealing with, but there's a lot of questions coming into us regarding procedures and restrictions or requirements for shipping ammo to certain states. It hasn't been a big issue until, say, the last 6 months, 8 months. But anyway, we took a lot of time and tried to add a lot of that information to our restricted states guide. In doing so, we found some other state issues that are now updated as well. So our most current version is dated 8/12/24. 8/12/24. That will be out on our site either tonight or tomorrow. You can go download it. Always look in the bottom of the corner. I'm going to skip ahead here. Bottom of the form itself, you'll see that you can find the updated date right here. Revised date is always there. Make sure you get the most revised date. Again, no one really is doing this well. We try our best, but it's not available anywhere. And it's a lot of work to keep up, but JC and I and JP, we try to get this out to you as frequently as we can, typically on a monthly basis. But there's a lot of restrictions in there, and you don't want to get caught with your pants down. You don't want to get caught doing something you're not allowed to do, and you don't want to get a call from the ATF asking why you shipped either ammunition to a resident in a state you weren't allowed to ship to, or maybe ship a firearm to a state you weren't supposed to ship it because it was banned in that state. Even shipping to an FFL, thinking that FFL is going to be the gatekeeper in the state. Don't be surprised if the FFL calls the ATF to report you for not abiding by the rules and making life difficult for them on the other side. So go ahead and grab that form, download it, use it, share it. We're going to make every attempt next month to turn this into a one-page chart of some type. That was some feedback from you guys, great feedback. We know it got lengthy. I think this started as one page and now it's 4, but there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, and education is a wonderful thing. So make sure you download that form and we'll get that to you soon. More along with Compliance Corner, we have realized that, man, of all the calls we get, the one we get the most of is the alien immigrants. How do I process an alien immigrant for a firearm? Hey, why not? I mean, it's money and it's for good reason. And they're here in the United States, either need it for self-protection, hunting, sports shooting. They're here. So they have the right to bear arms, purchase, possess, and transfer and bear arms. So let's go through this easily. I'm going to send this out I'll send this PDF out, these 2 next pages, so that you can use them as training guides with your team. I'll send them out with the over the weekend when we send the video recording out. But hey, let's talk about alien immigrants who are entered into the U.S. without a visa. This one's easy. Okay, without a visa. Okay, first of all, you're gonna this impacts boxes 11, 19, and 20 on the 4473. If someone's in the United States for an undetermined length of stay, they're legally here, they've been registered when they entered the U.S., and they're legally here for an undetermined length of stay. Who knows? Who knows when they're going to go to court? Who knows when they're going to apply for citizenship? Who knows, right? This is really easy. First of all, they possess their immigration documents. They'll have either an AR or USCIS number or maybe an I-94 green card. Okay. They can purchase any firearms and any number of firearms. In box 11, you're simply going to list a foreign country or place of birth, no city, just a country. In box 19, it indicates the country of citizenship. You have to check that box. It's not U.S., and they have to list their country. In box 20, they list their USCIS AR I-94 number right there on line 20. You should see in the view that document that has that number. You should go ahead and take a look at that document, even though you don't need to keep a copy or attach it to. Box 21M1 over on page 2 is going to be a no answer. Check the no box. 21M2 is going to be left blank or a no answer. No is not a wrong answer. So if they check no by mistake because they didn't understand the question, you don't have to make them cross it out, initial, and date it. We see that a lot during our inspections. But do not fret if you notice after the customer leaves that they checked the note box. You don't have to call the customer back in. Again, no, for these folks is not a wrong answer. And then if for FFLs, use the number in box 20 during your background check as the secondary form of ID. You just select the right drop-down item, enter that number. It's usually a 9 or 11-digit number, and go ahead and do your background check. I will guarantee you they get delayed. Anybody out of country will get delayed because there's a little extra stuff for FBI NICS or your state agency to check immigration records. All right, almost guarantee on a delay. All right, that's for anybody here indefinitely. Now we get people with a visa. This one's a little trickier. Okay, a visa means they are here for a very specific or short length of stay. It's going to be a student visa, tourist visa, or a work visa. pretty basic. The longest amount of time will be 2 years. That's typically a student visa or possibly even a work visa. All right. So again, they'll possess their immigration documents. They'll have the numbers. They provide that to you. They must possess a valid hunting license from any state, as long as it's unexpired. It could be from any state. And they can purchase any firearms, any amount of arms. In box 11, you're going to list their foreign country, place of birth. Again, just the country. Box 19, they'll indicate the country of citizenship. Check the box and write or type their country in. Box 20 is going to list their immigration number, usually a USCIS number on a visa. Box 21M, 21M1 is a yes if they qualify under all these requirements. And then 21M2 is also a yes, meaning they have a hunting license or other exemption. Typically, 99% of these folks have a hunting license. All right. And then the FFL, you must list and attach a copy of the valid hunting license, and you must list it in box 26D and attach it to the 4473 and make sure it's in there. Make sure you identify it, which state issued it, and hunting license is usually a permit number on that. And then the FFL, you must go ahead and view the unexpired, make sure it's unexpired visa. That's very important. And use the number from box 20 when you're doing the background check as your second form of ID. And again, these folks will get delayed. Nothing extraneous, nothing extended, nothing laborious. I mean, same as any other immigration delay. They just, FBI NICS has to check with the immigration records and make sure everything's okay. All right, we'll send those out as PDFs along with the recorded session that goes out next weekend. All right. And here we are, guys. Again, another little celebration for us. I want to thank JP on our programming side and development side. We do have a little bit of a bug, but guess what, guys? We are super excited. We don't want you to get revoked. We want you to stay educated. That's why we created FFLC Academy. Real easy. Get your team members enrolled today. It's free. It's easy. And this is our third course, Preventing Straw Purchases. Just so you know, more than 2,300 FFLs have already taken at least one of our courses, gotten certified, passed the quiz, got their certificate of training and certification, put it in the file, and get and prepared for when the ATF shows up. And you can tell them you have your training program well in place and your people are trained and certified, and you are not going to have any errors on your next inspection. So we say it's live, but we have a bug. We had 1 or 2 bugs today. We just got to fix those, so stay tuned. Plan on tonight, hopefully, or at least definitely tomorrow. You and your employees will easily have access to recognizing and preventing straw purchases. Watch the videos, take the quiz, print your certificate, and don't let the bad guys win. We don't want that to happen. Ensure public safety. And sign up today. There you are, courses.fflcacademy.com, FFL Consultants Academy.com. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being patient, and we're glad we got this to you. What were the inspections like in July? Oh, my goodness. Bad. Let's just say bad. 821 inspections. That's a high number overall. There's all the offices. 22 inspections resulting in warning conferences. That's really bad. That's where you go sit with the principal and plead for mercy, right? This does not include warning letters that went out to everybody. That's a huge number. Okay, warning letter is 1 step short of a conference. And there's your total number of inspections resulting in revocations, 22. That is the highest number, second highest number in the last 10 months for any 1 month. And what that means is these inspections that were done in prior months finally culminated in an ATF hearing. The hearing was concluded, a decision was rendered, either keep your license with a warning or go ahead and surrender your license now, sell your business, or close the doors. The 22 of those occurred in July. And remember, those are not from July inspections. Those are from inspections back in, I mean, they could be a year ago, 6 months ago, or 3 months ago, probably nothing newer than 3 months ago. But it's sad. We were on a lot of those. JC might pipe up a little bit. I don't know. JC, you got 1 tomorrow. You had 2 last week. You had, I think, 1 or 2 the week prior. It's not getting any easier, guys. Make sure your team is up and running with training and doing everything great, not good, but great when it comes to transferring those firearms.
We have revocations booked through November. Granted, it eases up in October and November a little bit, but just because there's nothing on the calendar yet doesn't mean I'm not going to get a notice.
No, I know it's nutty. I mean, I get letters. It's funny. So my address is the business address. All these ATF letters come here with all of JC's hearing notifications and thumb drives with evidence documents on them and everything. It's kind of wacky, but it's just nonstop. We don't want you guys to be one of those. All right, so almost that's 2.6% of all gun dealers have lost their life. That was a 2.6% of those inspected. It's kind of a weird number. That's the only number we have, really. It's not percent of all 80,000 gun dealers, but 2.6 of those inspected means, watch out. If you're due for an inspection, download our guide off our website, how to prepare for your next inspection, right on our website under forms and tools. Don't be the guy who calls me like I had on Thursday last week, says, oh my God, the ATF is coming on Monday, which is today. Luckily, they got some advance notice. They were in a remote area of the woods. And the ATF didn't want to drive 4 hours for them not to be there. They got some notification. And thankfully, we had the weekend to, let's just say, get prepared. But don't wait to the last minute. Get that instruction guide now and get to work. All right, so here's some numbers by year. This is like really, really concerning. When we looked at this and we said, oh, holy crap. There's the 4 years that Biden's been in office, right? This is under the zero tolerance revocation program. We'll say, wow, we only had 274 warnings so far in 2024. We were 600 last year. And we only got a couple months left to the ATF fiscal year. So we're not going to hit 600 warnings, but we're going to get up there, maybe 400. Then way over, look at the involuntary surrenders, look at the FFLs revoked so far this year, 179. But there's a big total, 294. That's almost 300 folks this year that have either surrendered their license, then it couldn't afford to, couldn't go through the hearing, didn't have the money, didn't have the NSSF premium retail program in place to protect them, didn't have another FFL guard program, didn't have a program in place other than themselves and the attorney down the road, maybe at the other end of the phone, to help them get through the process. 115 folks just surrendered, gave up, said, I'm not going to fight it. 179 others fought it and lost it. That's a big number. And this is even scarier when you look at this. Here's what concerns us is this warning, almost 2,500 retailers out there, maybe many of you are in warning status. That means you can't have even first of all, one new violation. Forget about the revocable violations. But any violation can yield a revocable, a notice of revocation if you're in warning status. So we don't want you in warning, and no, you can't get out of warning. Everybody said, oh, we used to be able to get out of warning after 3 years or after two clean inspections, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't cut it anymore, off the table until we change the program or until we get a new president or some miracle happens. So if you're in warning status, we hope you're on here, we hope you're learning, and we hope you're calling us for questions. Again, 811 revocations over so far 4 years, going on 4 years. And we don't see that stopping. The momentum is not slowing down. Do your best. Stay compliant. Stay educated. All right. Just briefly, this is a repeat slide from last month, but again, we're getting calls weekly of folks getting inspected and they don't know what to do. So hopefully through osmosis, through YouTube, through social media, you share this, tell your folks, tell your friends, tell everybody, go out and look at this video, look at these 2 slides. These are the do's and don'ts for during an inspection, when you get inspected, how you can fight it, how you can correct issues during the inspection. Don't wait till it's over. Things you should do, but hey, call us. We'll hold your hand. We don't care if you're a member or VIP, a new guy and been in business for 30 years or just got your license. We'll help you. It's not a fee-based service. We just want to keep you in business because eventually you call us for the real help and you'll probably pay for our services later. But right now we're here to help you, pro bono, so to speak. We just want to keep you in business because if you're not in business, we're not in business. We need you guys to be selling guns for us to do what we do. So again, And the key here, just on this slide, is the number one thing is don't wait to the closing conference. Don't wait till the ATF sits down with you and tells you how your inspection went and everything they found. Get to it on a daily basis. Reconcile's the big word. Reconcile everything before the closing conference. And again, before the close, don't call us and say, "Oh, I forgot to tell you ATF was here last week, but everything was fine." That's a big sigh of relief for us. We have a lot of those, but there's a lot of you who are not so lucky. So call us. We'll help you with the action plan, immediate actions to correct issues before the closing inspection. And if you get in trouble, obviously the corrective action plan that's required for your warning conference and/or hearing. All right. JC, how you doing?
I'm here, brother. I'm here.
All right, we got some true or false, guys. We're going to start this. If you've never been here, here's how it works. We throw out the question and you type that answer into the chat box. Make it easy for you. Get your fingers ready, index fingers. Put one on the F for false and put one index finger on T for true. That's all it takes. You don't have to type out a word. Let's see if anybody knows how to do that. Anybody got their fingers going yet? Got any T's? Got any F's? All right, we got a T. Hey, Greg. Thanks, Greg. I know you're listening, Anna, Salvatore. All right, guys, we're going to do rapid fire, true or false. Okay. Ready, JC?
I'm ready.
Here we go. True or false? First question. When transferring a firearm with a suppressor, an integral suppressor, meaning built in. Now, I know not all of you do suppressors, but this will challenge most of you. When transferring a firearm with an integral suppressor, I need to list both the suppressor and the firearm on the 4473, but I do not need to do a background check since the Form 4 was approved. True or false?
I got a lot of truths, but I do have some false people out there. So the correct answer is
False.
false.
And why is that, JC?
Well, pretty much the look, you could do it, but just remember one thing. If you list the firearm, whatever it is, rifle, handgun, whatever, if you list that firearm, you have to do a background check. So therefore, you cannot transfer the suppressor until that background check comes back with a proceed. So what we recommend doing is doing the with an integrally suppressed, you're not going to remove the suppressor from the firearm. So both do, yeah, I think we got this one wrong, JB. I need to list both the suppressor and the firearm in the form. Yes, because it's I hate this word, integrally suppressed. That means it's connected, it can't be removed. So the correct answer is here true, because it is both items have to be listed on the 4473.
No, the answer is false. You're reading the question wrong, JC. When transferring a firearm with an integral suppressor, I need to list both suppressor and firearm in the 4473, but I do not need to do a background check since the Form 4 was approved.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't reading the last.
Yeah. So the answer is, to JC's point, you still have to background check whatever the suppressor is attached to. Okay, next one. All right. So if a firearm has two serial numbers on it, I should use the one that stands out the most or which is more prominent. True or false? False. I think, we got a couple T's, and the answer is false.
Somebody even said frame.
Both. Basically, listing both serial numbers is the way to go. For whatever reason, there's two numbers on it. They both look like serial numbers. You can't figure it out. You don't know which ones.
This would be common in situations where somebody has remanufactured a firearm and they, for whatever reason, didn't adopt the serial numbers of the previous manufacturer. And before the ruling of 2021-21R-05F, that whole PMF thing and all that, there was a little bit of confusion about that. So you shouldn't see many of them, but if you do see something with two serial numbers, mark down both one/the other. The same holds true for manufacturers. If a firearm has two manufacturers, list both.
Yeah, and so on the serial number, you'll probably find this issue on older firearms that have been around a while, remanufactured. And the other manufacturer, though, you're getting on the manufacturing side, you're getting a lot of typo sevens, upgrading, manipulating, refabricating, Cerakoting, and they're putting their marks on a gun as required now. So you do have to list both, and a lot of those might be newer guns. All right, you are allowed to buy or acquire a used gun from a used handgun from a 19-year-old customer. Key here is handgun. You're allowed to acquire it from a 19-year-old. We get this question every week. So I thought again, these questions are coming from our call log of the recent month. We said, let's just get this out there for everybody. The answer is true.
True. You can purchase a firearm from anyone. If they're in possession of it, it could have been gifted to them. It could have been willed to them. There are any number of situations. So the answer is true. You can purchase a firearm from a 19-year-old, somebody under 21, even a handgun.
Yeah, cool. All right. When transferring a suppressor and a firearm to the same person on the same day, I should list each on a separate form 4473. I think JC gave this away already, but
yeah, I got it.
So I should list the firearm and the suppressor on two separate 4473s. True or false?
Right. It's back again. So
we might be getting some falses from folks who don't sell suppressors.
Yep. So it's true. So the same person on the same day, I should list each on a separate. And the reason for that is if you want to let that suppressor walk out the door, you can list it on 14473. And because they went through the background check process for the form for approval, you'll mark box 28 and they go on their merry way. If you list them both on the same form, then obviously you have to wait. So,
yeah, it's a little bit of a trick question. I said I should list. I mean, you don't have to list.
No,
you can list a suppressor and a pistol on the same 4473, but in the event, to JC's point, in the event that gets delayed, the customer cannot leave with the suppressor. So that's the reason for doing that. Okay. All right. Once on the ATF Demand 1 or Demand 2 program, you will always be on the program and held to program requirements. True or false? A couple truths.
The next bag again. Well, these are good trick questions, JB.
Again, they're trick questions because they're tricking everybody out there and they're calling us for answers. So might as well educate everybody. And the answer is
false.
Yeah.
You may be removed from the demand program.
Now, there's no set time frame, but there are circumstances, right? I guess, JC?
Correct. There are circumstances where you might be removed.
Yeah.
Say you stop buying used firearms.
Yeah. And if you stop having those traces for time to crime, less than 3 years and more than 25, and blah, 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 blah. So there's an analysis, but it happens I think once a year. The director takes a look at the traces. There's a lot of, think of it, there's a lot of calculations here. And they'll issue a formal letter with instructions and congratulations and that type of thing. It's a one-page thank you note for being so compliant, blah, 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 and good luck with your future. But you can go back on that program if things go sour.
I can't.
All right. When transferring a firearm on Monday, this one's a good one. When transferring a firearm on Monday and exchanging the same firearm on Wednesday due to a malfunction and replacement or exchange, a Form 3310-4 is required.
A couple truths here and there.
We've been down this road with a few of you, probably, and the answer is true. The ATFC is a transfer as a transfer as a transfer as a transfer. If you fill out a 4473, that you already know there's no box on there for exchange or replacement. And JC, you had one of these. I had one where the FFL was cited for not submitting the multiple handgun form report for those little heritage revolvers that we all love for $109, right? Take them home, they break, customer comes back, gets a new one. That's 2 transfers. Make sure you're filling it out, sending it in. I am always obligated to transfer a firearm to the customer that I received on an FFL internet purchase in my store from UPS, even if I think it's suspicious. I'm always obligated to make that transfer on these online purchases that arrive in my back door.
So happy I'm not seeing any trues.
I know we still get these calls.
So happy I'm not seeing
We
any
see it on audits when we visit you guys.
It's false.
All right.
You actually have the right to refuse a sale to anyone for any reason, as long as it's not discriminatory.
There you go. Good.
And there is
All
case
right.
so.
If the ATF calls me and requests that I communicate any 50 caliber BMG firearm sales to them as I learn of any, I am obligated to do so. True or false? If they call and say, hey, let me know about any 50 BMGs being sold in your store, or you hear about anybody in the area buying BMGs, you got to call me. What do you think?
Pretty much not too much of a mixed bag, a lot of falses, but a few trues here and there. And that is true. False. See, I mixed that up there. It is a false. You're not, required to. In the interest of public safety in partnership with the ATF, it's always good to support their efforts. Remember, you have equal game in the public safety aspect of things. But, just make sure you're getting something official. You're not just giving up the information. Tell them to send you at a bare minimum, send an email from ATF.gov or USDOJ.gov requesting the information.
But even in that regard, I mean, I had a call on Friday, and it's over in Arkansas, and I said, this is a good customer of mine. I'm not ratty. I'm not calling the ATF. I know this guy. I know he can afford it. He loves guns. He's in here every couple of months. Why call the ATF and report him? So yeah, again, it's a nice to do, but not a need to do, not a required to do. And if you do it, go ahead and log it in your ATF communications log. Show good faith. When I convert from paper to bound book, or when I convert from paper bound book to digital electronic bound book, I can send all my old records to the ATF Tracing Center. Oh my God, I think I got 5 of these calls in the last 2 months. I'm so excited. I'm moving to Fastbound or Listsaw, Colware, or Bravo. I'm so excited. I can send all my records in, true or false.
I think we got a lot of F's, not a lot of T's, but a lot of F's.
There we go.
There you go. False. You're required to keep your records for the entirety of the life of your license.
Yeah. They're not going to adopt the burden of doing all your traces from all those old paper records.
We can help you. There is a way to do certain things where we do like a restructure or reorg of your organization, but that takes a little doing.
If a customer argues with me, makes threats, or is unruly, I may refuse to transfer him or her a firearm, even if they receive a proceed on their background check or qualify with an LTC or CHL exemption. True or false?
See a lot of T's on this one.
All right, you guys finally figured this one out, huh? All right.
Good job.
All right. Good.
Refuse a sale, and especially in those situations where somebody's making excited utterance or threats and is unruly, argumentative. Absolutely. Don't even go by.
Yeah. And you got a problem with this, give us a ring. We'll walk you through it. We get one of these a week. It's okay to raffle off and transfer shotguns from your FFL at a Ducks Unlimited banquet. True or false? Still getting calls on this one.
Got a lot of F's.
It's okay to transfer guns at the Ducks Unlimited banquet. I think you guys were on a prior one. Yeah, I spent about 2 hours educating. That's a nice word to say. Educate one of our FFL fans about this week, and very disappointing. I mean, we got to find a new way to handle this Ducks Unlimited situation, but it may be other scenarios.
Ducks Unlimited is actually a conservation organization. It has nothing to do with the shooting sports, even though we and the hunting community call hunting conservation. It's not necessarily a shooting sports event. So,
If I cannot determine the model or importer of a firearm, I should leave those boxes blank in my bound book and on my form 4473.
What's the F's?
All
What's that?
right. All right. Learning, learning, learning.
False. None marked. None marked.
None
If you
marked.
do know what it is, one of our recommendations is if you do know what it is because you have firearm knowledge, you can always put none marked slash whatever you believe it to be, or in quotes or in parentheses. So that way you can identify the firearm. Look, it wasn't marked, but I know it's this, right? You can always do that as well.
All right. All right. The number one violation identified consistently during ATF inspections involves failure to list timely acquisitions and dispositions in the bound book. The number one violation.
I don't know that they can argue this one, JB, but I'm getting a few false, but a lot of trues.
There we go. This has been year after year after year after year after year.
24 hours, folks, 24 hours. That's the best practice. There's exceptions, but as always, we tell you not to manage to the exception and manage to the rule. And the rule is within 24 hours of receipt of that firearm.
Yeah, be wary of those UPS deliveries in unopened boxes in the back room, gunsmith repairs, consignment guns. The ATF is keen at looking for all this stuff, even if you have electronic software. All right. In and out. All right. All right. It's legal to sell handgun ammunition to customers under 21 as long as you have proof that they own a carbine long gun and your state allows it. You can sell handgun ammunition to someone under 21.
Mixed bag, trues and falses.
As long as your state permits it. All right.
Falses. True. And it's not a matter of knowing, it's a matter of asking. It's a matter of saying, what are you using it for? Verify their age. They say they're under 21. They say, I have a 9mm carbine rifle. You're fine. You verified it. You took the steps necessary.
Yeah, this comes up with 22.
And 22 LR used to be the standard, and that was the main interchangeable ammo. But nowadays, the interchange almost nearly every caliber is an interchangeable round now.
Yeah,
except for your oddball ones.
Yeah. All right. I don't ever need to log in a private party transfer firearm unless the seller leaves the firearm with me overnight. Now, I know a lot of you don't do private party transfers, but down the road, I think we're all going to be doing them.
The trues and falses, lots of trues and falses.
I don't need to log it in unless they leave the gun with me overnight. I never need to log it in unless the gun leaves with me overnight.
Now, the problem you run into with this is the fact that if you're utilizing electronic 4473 and electronic A&D, a lot of the systems require you to log the firearm in no matter what. But the way we teach it is the original owner of that firearm should maintain possession until the buyer actually gets an approval. So that way, because if you do take possession of it, it's no different than a consignment. And the individual, the original owner of the firearm, if say the buyer gets denied, now they have to fill out a 4473 and do a background check to get their gun back. So,
and true story, last Monday, I remember sitting here. Monday was always busy with us when you guys get in after maybe taking a weekend off and looking through paperwork, etc. But someone called me and said, I heard that I'm supposed to be logging in and out the private party transfer guns. I said, yeah. He goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, you do a lot of them? He goes, yeah. I said, have you ever logged them in and out? He goes, no. And I'll leave it at that. I won't tell you what the rest of the conversation was. But
oops.
He is logging them in. Absolutely. Now he is. All right. And his confusion was, back to this, his confusion was he only thought he had to log it in if he kept it in overnight when there was a delay on the transfer. But he didn't realize the same day transfer in and out, seller and buyer standing in front of him making the exchange is a bound book activity. An FFL can purchase a firearm from any customer in any state as long as there are no state restrictions or prohibitions. An FFL can purchase a firearm from any customer in any state as long as basically any customer walking into your store from another state.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think everybody got this one.
Yep. Good.
Yep.
Yeah, we still get calls on it, but yes, you can buy a gun from anybody from anywhere, but you can't sell a gun to anybody anywhere. Has to be in your state. Has to be state resident. Yeah. Has to be for handguns. Has to be a state resident. For long guns, by the rules of both
People
states.
are already answering the next question, JB. It's pretty funny.
FFL. Oh, I got to ask this question because JC and we license about 10 or 15 folks each month. And I hate these conversations. Actually, I'm sorry if you're listening. I love the conversations of people trying to get into the business, but I try to educate them. So here's the question. FFLs make the majority of their profit from selling firearms and not anything else.
Everybody be saying false on that one.
Yes. La, 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 la.
Yeah,
Well,
laugh out loud.
thanks, Langford. Yeah. You make money off everything. I think the gun is the last thing you're making money off of, right? Okay. All right, guys. That's our true and false for the session. Hey, here's an idea. You can send us a note, an email, a text any day of the month leading up to our events and saying, hey, ask this question on the true false. Hey, ask this question or talk about this during your event. Someone mentioned we need to talk about buddy files during Q&A. We'll do that. Jeffrey, I think you said that. We didn't talk about buddy files today. All right, guys. Hey, it's been 2 months already. Here we go. Do we have a lot of great ATF compliance for the last 2 months? Yeah, we got Kiki in Texas. You had 3 stores, Kiki. 3 stores, man. You guys are humming. Thank you very much for everything you do down there. Kim in Utah, Chris in Mississippi, Paula and Jeff in Illinois, Rob over in South Carolina. This one's big. Rick, Chirot, and Jane. Jane, we won't forget about you over in Pennsylvania. You guys scored perfect. Well done. Don up in Maine, Matthew in Texas, Terry in Missouri, and Kevin in Alabama. All of you guys, 100% fabulous. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for keeping your business alive. And then on the FFLCR compliance audits, we only had a few here, guys. David and Barry in Alabama, Price and Tyler over in Mississippi, and Kevin over in Florida, Kathy, Nevada, Taylor, Michigan. And that was it. Oh my God, look at that. Guys, thankfully we got there before the ATF did because there's a lot many audits that we did where there were not perfect scores.
Yeah, hey, JB, just one other thought on that. Keep in mind, we're coming to the end of the ATS fiscal year at the end of September. So they are going to be pumping out as many inspections as they possibly can over the course of the next, 6-7 weeks. So if you have not had an inspection, if you especially have not had an inspection in the last 10 years, you're hot for an inspection. Their goal is 3 to 5 years. And depending on how many trace requests you get, things of that nature, you could also be hot for an inspection. And then all of you who have faced previous administrative action, warning letter, warning conference, remember, they're coming within 12 to 18 months to re-inspect to see if you show signs of improvement and making sure you're following the compliance action plan that you put forward or whatever information you provided them at the close of your inspection. Those are called licensee responses. They will hold you accountable to that. So you got 6 or 7 weeks before the end of the fiscal year. They are coming to get you.
Yes, they are. August and September, crunch months for the ATF. So, hey, here's our ATF 11 Deadly Sins poster. It's available or will be available tomorrow on our website. Again, just go download it. We've added number 11 here, JC. You want to talk to that?
Facilitating straw purchases, diversion, trafficking, and engaged in the business. If you are an FFL and you are facilitating in any one of those areas, under the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, you can be held to a criminal act for facilitating or participating in this. You should be paying attention to straw purchases, to any possibilities for diversion or trafficking, or anybody who happens to be buying a lot of guns and selling a lot of guns.
Yeah. And coincidentally, guys, I mean, that thing's popped up quickly on JC's radar as he's attending these hearings over the last 6 to 7 months. It wasn't there before, but they're going after this, as you know, if you've been inspected heavy. They are asking for a thumb drive download of your bound book when they walk in for your inspection. You are not obligated, nor should you provide that thumb drive download of your bound book. What do you think they do with that bound book? You think they sort it? You think they look for common addresses, common last names? You think they maybe compare that information to your denials? Come on, guys. Paper copies of your bound book provided for inspection purposes. Call us.
Sure,
Talk
you're
to us.
getting in front of it.
Yeah,
You want to catch it before they do.
Yes. Talk to us offline more about that if you need help. But yeah, that's one of the things we talk you through when you are getting inspected. All right, download that poster, use it for training, hang it in your back room. All right. All right. Hey, what are we doing? Where are we going, JC? No more Nick's training days. Those are done.
Mexico.
Yep. But we are traveling, guys. We'll be at the Dixie Pond event in Alabama on Labor Day, rather. Hope to see you there. Come say hi, shake a hand, give a high five, especially if you're a member of VIP or PRM. Come say hi, check in with us. And then we're doing mock audits in all these different states on your screen: Mississippi, North Carolina, Georgia, Colorado, Kansas, Florida, Arizona, South Carolina, Michigan, Minnesota, and a state near you. That's probably not on the list there. That's our next 2 months.
On the list for a mock audit or mock inspection or whatever the heck you want to call it, and you're in one of those states, drop us a note, remind us, and we'll get you on the list. JB and I are trying to do 3 or 4 a week, especially if we can coordinate it in one area. So if you're delayed in getting your mock inspection, just drop us a note and we'll get you on the list. We still have openings. I believe you do too, JB, don't you?
What's that? Yeah.
You have some openings, a few little breaks here.
Yeah. Yeah. We book months in advance. We usually book two scheduled members, but we can always fit in 1 or 2 in a week that or maybe at least 1 more in those areas. But yeah, we can usually fit it in. We buy our flights probably 2 weeks at the latest out from our trip. We try to do 3 weeks for pricing. But hey, you think you need a visit, give us a ring. All right. Why aren't you an NSSF member? If you are a regular member, you should be a premium. If you're a premium, make sure you renew. We had a couple fall through the cracks and they got in trouble, and they had to spend $15,000 for an inspection hearing revocation support from JC. Truly. But with the NSSF Premium Retail Program, you get up to $25,000 of legal defense protection. That means JC, myself, lawyers, etc., will hold your hand through the process if you wind up with a bad result from an ATF inspection. Good peace of mind. Tell you the cost is still $750 a year. You can't beat that. That also gets us out for one of those all-day mock audit inspections. Can't beat it. Cheapest price in town. And thank you to NSSF for supporting you and for supporting this program throughout the years. Need more information on becoming a member with the NSSF? Give us a call. We are independent consultants, compliance consultants for the National Shooting Sports Foundation and range consultant, right, JC?
Yep. Yes.
Yep. Hence, you love Stewart. All right. And guys, we are at rapid fire. That we're excited. Hope you are too. We are being recorded. If you got to run, we understand. We'll send this out next weekend because I got to hit the airport tonight at 5 p.m. But let's see what we got. We got everybody. Thank you for joining us. A lot of folks still with us. Learning I stopped. Okay. So Salvatore says, hey, John, learning has its plus. I stopped and reported a gun buying account. I stopped and reported a gun buying account on Gunbroker. A person wanted all 100 guns. I reported it and got it stopped. Very good. Hey, protecting public safety. Guys, be aware of all the scams on the internet sites. If you got any questions, give us a ring. Anything looks too good to be true, it probably is. And keep an eye on your FFL license activity. We're still hearing about FFL copies of licenses being photoshopped and manipulated, and people trying to buy guns using your license number. There's no easy way to stop that. Just let us know if it happens and we'll put you in touch with the right people. Timothy says, hey, mention buddy files. So when the ATF comes to inspection, do they not want to see any other sales receipts or paperwork with the 4473s?
Look, here's the deal with that. Those are business records. And, our recommendation, is surrounded by the, I guess, strategy of keeping the Form 4473 as clean as humanly possible, because we want an inspection, even for us, we want to be able to get through forms within 15 to 30 seconds. That's 240 forms an hour at 15 forms or a form in one form in 15 seconds. So the other reason we do that is so that way we know how many forms the ATF has gone through in one day, how many hours they've been there, and how many hours they spent reviewing those forms, because that'll tell us if they're finding problems. So there's a lot of strategy behind that. So you want to keep that thing as neat and clean as humanly possible, and keep the business records. Those are for your purposes. It's truly a double-edged sword when it comes to an ATF inspection, because the more crap you have attached to that 4473, it's going to slow them down, number one. And number two, they're going to use whatever information is there to compare it to what's on the 4473. And I've had, and JB has had many, many situations where individuals have put the wrong information with the 4473, and then questions start getting asked. So just keep the form as neat and clean as possible. Put the other stuff that's not required to be there in your buddy file. That's for your.
So a real life story. So three of you who I'm looking through the list here, three of you know who you are. You all called me in the last 10 days, 2 weeks that said, hey, I was going over my 4473s and my background checks and realized my employee fat fingered, I always get this, fat fingered the name incorrectly when they keyed it into NICS. What do I do? Guess what? I say, well, guess what? Your employee background checked the wrong person. Therefore, the person you handed a gun to was not background checked, and now that's a zero tolerance violation. And yes, there's things we do to fix that, correct it, reacquire, recheck, resubmit, call NICS, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? That's on record. I mean, that's done. You know, that's done. You can't allow your employees to do that. You got to discipline them. You got to counsel them. You got to train them. You got to hold them accountable. So, but guess what? Here's if that document, you guys know the answer to this. If the NICS status report is attached to the 4473 on a proceed, then the ATF is going to see it and find that discrepancy as well. If it's not attached and it's in your buddy file, you know, nobody's going to see it. So that's the conversation. Whoever needs to know what to attach or what not to attach to your 4473, send me a note at jb@fflconsultants.com. I'll send you the email we send out to everyone who asks for it regarding what to attach and what not to attach. There's 6 items to attach. That's a different video. And everything else does not need to be attached. So drop me a line there, Timothy, I think it is, and I'll get that to you. For Stuart. All right, Stuart, wake up. Hope you're still there drinking your coffee. Here's a question for you. Do you engage in marketing, social media, and branding for ranges as they open?
Yes, in an answer. From the very beginning, when we're in the conceptualization stage, we're budgeting for it. And then we're planning and strategizing as we move through the process from start to finish. Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, anything ranges. Contact Stuart. If he doesn't do it, he's got people who do. So there you go.
Yeah. I threw the link up to the landing page there in the chat. It's just a couple above. And glad to hear from anybody with questions you have on that form. There's a place for you to lob a question over if you have one.
Yeah. All right, Larry says, I ordered the new 3310.12 from FORM after I received a letter from ATF. I received the old version.
Shocker. Just, you know, I always find when it's coming to the new form thing, call them. Don't order it online. Call them at the distribution center. Typically that satisfies getting the correct form. It's not surprising at all that you have the old form.
Yeah. All right. Did the Oregon magazine high cap magazine law also go into effect on 8/9? You know, I tried to. Do you know that, JC?
Yeah, July. It was upheld in July by the courts. We're still waiting for another appeal.
Yeah, I was trying to research Oregon today for someone else and get to the detail, but
so yeah, as far as I know, July it was upheld by the court, and we're waiting for the next appeal. Yeah. I want to say memory serves me right, NRA is pushing forward a lawsuit now. So, but as far as I know, as of right now, it was upheld.
And I believe in Oregon that the magazine ban is might be upheld, but the other requirements, permit to purchase, was shot down.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that's 114, I think. So, all right, we'll definitely have an update as we hear more. Forced reset
We're
triggers
monitoring this stuff, folks. So just bear with us. We're staying with it too.
Yeah. A forced reset triggers legal now.
Yep, that was overturned.
Yeah, so they're legal.
Back on the market, apparently. Of course, we're waiting for that appeal from the ATF. So it is what it is for right now. Just know that they here today, gone tomorrow. Who knows?
We have numerous electronic files that are in excess of time called out on ATF site. Dan says we have numerous electronic file that are in excess of time called out on ATF site. Don't know what that means.
What do you mean? It expired?
Yeah, Dan, are you there? Can you hit your space bar? Dan James?
I'll call Dan.
Okay, got it.
I'll call Dan and find out.
All right. All right. Massachusetts updated their assault weapon ban, and it is the worst one we've ever seen. Has anyone else been interpreting it? Yeah, Massachusetts just did that last week. I think we updated off our report. I don't have it in front of me. Yeah, Massachusetts is extremely strict now. I mean, you can't do anything without an FID card. You can't buy ammo. You have to register anything, everything. I don't even know if you can live in your own house anymore in Massachusetts. So, East Tiger, if you have questions, give us a specific call or drop us an email. We'll talk offline with that. Yeah, those northeastern states are horrible to deal with. Rick says, Colorado FFLs, state licensing will be handled by the Colorado Department of Revenue. Yeah, that takes.
Yeah, if you haven't, visit that website. I don't know if it's still out there or not, but you can register to participate in kind of the roundtables and discussions that are going on with building out these new programs. It should be very interesting. And for all of us that live in Colorado, there goes more of our money to nonsense programs.
Yep. Yeah. The only thing in Colorado we firmly know is that you'll be required to pay a fee for a permit to have an FFL. They have different levels of permit fees, but if you pay one, you basically get included in the others type of thing. But that's actually all we know is they want money. We don't really know the other requirements yet. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated as we get closer to 2025. Savannah says, where can we find a paper for the inspection? Savannah, that's right on our website, FFLconsultants.com, under the Forms and Tools tab. It's one of the drop-down downloads. One of the items listed there for download. Just download it. It's free. It's 6 pages, takes 30 minutes to read, and can save your FFL. Langford says, please explain the phrase print opens only. Oh, print opens only. Okay. Print opens only means when you have the ATF coming for inspection, what they are primarily going to want you to print off of your software is open acquisitions, just the opens.
Open dispositions.
Open dispositions, rather. Guns acquired, not disposed. So it's not a closed disposition, it's an open disposition, and you're able to do that in your software, and there should be an option for that. And primarily, you're just going to give the ATF the list of inventory guns, firearms, that should be in your store. That should match the open acquisitions in your bound book. Very rarely do they ask for the full bound book. I mean, some people, that could be, 1,000 pages if you've been open 10 years.
They want the open dispositions because they want to conduct inventory, and open dispositions is what you should have in your inventory, in your possession. So sometimes if you have the capability to sort it, makes it nice for them to sort it by the manufacturer. So as they're going through firearms, it makes it a little easier to find stuff. Very rarely are going to ask for your full A&D with closed dispositions. That means that they're comparing it to your 4473s to make sure all the information matches. For those of you that are on electronic AD and electronic 4473, a lot of that stuff ties together anyway, so it's become pretty pointless for the ATF to even look at it anymore.
Yeah. if you can print, if you can figure out how to print that open disposition report by serial number, that's even better. Some software does allow that to happen. That's quick and easy, fast to do your inventory. But what they will do, and if you can convince them, if a newbie walks in and says, "Oh, I need your whole bound book printed," meaning 30,000 pages, explain to them, you got 30,000, it'll be 3 days for printing. They'll accept the open dispositions, and then when they have to do the cross verification, they have to go ahead and take select 4473s and compare the information and disposition dates against the bound book. They go the other way. They might just stand in front of your computer with you or with an employee and go, and take 30 or 50 4473s that they've selected just to confirm that your software matches through a system lookup. So that's one way to talk to them if they don't understand your software, that you can do it more easily that way, and nothing hidden, nothing lost. So let's go. I'm gonna get through all these T's and F's. Next question. Bear with me. Wow. Well, you guys are very active on the true and false. Thank you. So Michaela says, even if you don't need a 4473 for a replacement firearm. I think we're talking about the 3310.4. So
yeah,
so
if an individual brings in a firearm to you for gunsmithing, warranty work, whatever the case may be, and you ship it, you determine that, maybe they, whatever, Smith & Wesson sends back a whole new gun. That's all gunsmithing procedure. So there's no 4473 required for warranty repair from a manufacturer.
But it is required. But a new 4473 is required if you transfer a new gun out of stock. It doesn't cover it.
If you're just giving them another gun and taking back in the other gun, that's a different story. We're talking about two different things.
Yeah. All right. Good idea to work with them anyway. Salvatore. Okay. More truths, falses. Scrolling down quickly, guys. You got any more questions? Please type them in. I'm getting down. Who would have thought of this T and F thing?
I'm blaming that one on you.
Once transfer is done on 4473, you get proceeds. Salvatore says, once transfer is done. Not sure what that was about, Sal. If you want to jump in, hit your space bar. All right, where can we find paper to help prepare for the inspection? We talked about that on our website, Forms and Tools.
Yep.
Dan, you're late to the party, but the recording will be out next weekend, Saturday or Sunday. Can you please revisit the private party transfers and the 24 hours in A&D book? I missed your comment, sorry.
Yeah, so if two parties, not a firearm in your inventory, John Doe, Joe Schmo come walking in the door. John Doe wants to sell his gun to Joe Schmo. What will happen is, if you're electronics, it's totally different. But if you're on paper, you will simply fill out the 4473. You will mark that box. I think it's number 7, private party transfer, and you will initiate the background check, etc. So the 4473 gets filled out, etc., etc. You never take possession of the firearm. The original owner, John Doe, maintains possession of that firearm until the buyer gets a proceed. If John Doe, if Joe Schmo gets a delay and John Doe says, you know what, I'm just going to give you the gun so I don't have to deal with it, you must log it in your book. If Joe Schmo gets denied, John Doe comes back for his gun, he must do a 4473 in a background check. So it's very much like a consignment situation. The entire reason why you mark that box, private party transfer, is if in a situation where Joe Schmo gets denied, but John Doe never gave up his firearm to you to add into your A&D record, it tells the ATF there's a reason why they don't see an acquisition of that firearm. That's the entire purpose of that box.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
so whenever that gun gets transferred, it goes in and out of the bound book. So yeah. All right. Can you discuss banquets again regarding transfer of guns?
banquets. It must be a shooting sports related activity. So no Ducks Unlimited, Friends of NRA, not really. I'm trying to think of some other examples. JB, you got any?
Yeah, VFW,
Yeah, VFW, none of those type things.
county fair, yard
right.
sales,
Yeah,
flea markets.
flea markets, none of that stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be a bona fide, an ATF, go to the atf.gov website, type that question in, you'll get the definition and meaning of a bona fide authorized shooting sports or firearms related event. Yep. Can you, is it legal defense only for revocations and is the legal defense only for revocations and ATF inspections? Or does count if you're being sued by Chicago? I'm not sure what this question is in reference to.
No, it only has to do with ATF. It only has to do with ATF related inspection activities.
You might be talking about premium retail
Yeah,
membership with the NSSA.
The lawsuit up there in Chicago. There's a few FFLs involved.
Yeah,
the legal defense fund doesn't play into that.
Yeah, it plays into adverse action resulting from an ATF inspection.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a liability protection. It's a adverse action hearing, go to court, hire a lawyer fund, legal support fund, which can be very pricey. Learn more about, okay, FYI to Colorado license, I got that. Two questions. First, ATF issued a license for a new location we opened, and during the process, I was told the gun broker usernames need to be registered as a trade name.
First of all, that one's pretty good. I like that. That sounds to me like the code of IOI regulations. Email us directly on that so I can address that with the field division directly. That is not an accurate statement in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that sounds weird. Never heard that before. That's a newbie. That's a new person at the ATF thinking they figured out something nobody else knew about, right?
Okay, I'm gonna my username for gun broker is gonna be John1876543, and I have to register that as a business. Are you out of your mind?
Right. And then second, who are you all referring FFLs to for firearm shipping? We historically use FedEx for long guns and USPS priority mail for handguns, and they are both getting more and more expensive and won't honor insurance claims. And when packages are damaged and firearms damaged, et cetera. You know what? I have a couple. I have a couple references in my system. Josh, just go ahead and shoot me a quick email. I'll dig those up and tell you who has been having good results.
Yeah, shipoutdoors.com is definitely one.
Ship Outdoors is one of them. I forget the other one or two, but yeah. Give us a quick email, info@fflconsultants.com. We'll get back to you. Don't know anything about pricing. And RJ, same thing. Kim, how about training? Kim, Kim, thank you. You scored great on your inspection, 2 or 3 weeks ago? That's awesome. Thanks for being a loyal community viewer and fan. Make sure. Salvatore says, any way you guys can make make shift manual for FFL with all these what if? Whatever. Don't know what that means.
Want us to put together a manual on what ifs?
We don't have the time nor the patience.
It's easier to pick up the phone and call us or text us.
Yeah. Salvatore, that's why we're creating this FFLC Academy. So we can't handle 30 or 40 calls a day each. I mean, it's really getting crazy. So we're trying to put the education in front of you and your staff so you all do better on a daily basis, hourly basis. But hey, in the meantime, just give us a ring. We'll help you out. Ship Outdoors, somebody mentioned A&D entries within 24 hours. I thought 2 for acquisitions and 7 days for disposition. So let's explain. So the best practice for acquisitions and dispositions is primarily the same. The ATF is going to tell you same day, next day. Okay. And the same thing. And okay, same day, next day for acquisitions. But if you read the fine print and look this up, it does say if you have business records that document the date of acquisition and serial numbers, make, model, serial number, caliber of the firearm, the description of the firearm coming in. So you got invoices for a shipment that came in yesterday, and you got all the serial numbers, all that documentation, stored separate from the firearm shipment itself. It's on a desk, it's in a folder. You're allowed up to 7 days and to acquisitions.
Yeah, the invoice has to contain all the information that the acquisition and record has, right? Manufacturer, order type, serial number, caliber, gauge, whatever. So it basically has to contain the same information that the acquisition record of the A&D book.
And the primary reason for that is if you burglarize, you got a shipment today, and if you burglarize today, and they take the guns that are on the pallet on the receiving dock, but your invoice with all the required information is over on your desk in the shipping or receiving office or on your office, you have all the corresponding information of the guns that was stolen. That's why ATF will always say same day, next day, or within 24 hours for acquisitions, dispositions. But in both cases, as long as you have the documentation on acquisitions, again, all of the required information is up to 7 days. And the same thing on dispositions, you have the 4473s or the FFL transfer documentation going out.
Yes.
As long as you have all that information.
And also remember that this disposition doesn't occur until it leaves your premise. So if they're on a pallet back dock, you missed the last, shipment of the day with UPS, FedEx, don't dispose of those firearms yet. They're still on property. All right.
Yeah.
Kim, you brought up Quail Forever. Quail Forever is another conservation group. Thank you. Big word. One caveat to this that I want to make sure we address. You can't transfer firearms at a lot of these events. It doesn't mean that you can't bring the gun with you to show off. As long as you are a W-2 employee, and that's very important, I want to emphasize that, a W-2 employee is with that firearm and maintains possession of that firearm, you can bring it to the events, show it off, raffle it, and all that stuff. They just have to come back to your shop to fill out the 4473 and do the transfer. Or you can send it to an FFL of their choosing and let them do it there. Remember, you're in business to make money. The whole purpose of getting them back to your store is to get them into more product. You want to sell them ammunition. You want to sell them that gun case. You want to sell them that gun safe. You want to sell them that sticky holster if they, win a handgun or something. So the whole purpose of this is to get them back in your door. So don't downplay that opportunity, because it's a huge one.
Yeah, and somebody asked for last week, the primary, think about the Gun Control Act written back in 1968 and approved. It was probably written for 5 years and then approved. But the reason we believe, and we've been told, the primary reason the transfer has to occur at a licensed premises is very simple. That's where you keep the records, the paperwork, the bound book. Everything is there and not going to get lost. Imagine if every gun dealer was traveling around America with all these forms, documentations, permanent records. The only records that exist anywhere for those transfers that have occurred is in your licensed premises on the hopefully lock and key, protected by locks and alarm systems and cameras. That's it. I mean, think about it. It is that simple, and we got to preserve that, and we got to keep it as such. So when your folks are challenging you to do transfers at locations that are maybe not permitted or authorized by the ATF, there's a good reason for that. Okay.
So one question here, after an ATF IOI audit, will the IOI put the 4473s back in the order the forms were in, or will that be on the FFL? It depends on the IOI, but I would tell you, take advantage of that. If they do set those aside, that is a training opportunity for you to make sure that you go back and address any issues with any employees that were the transfer or seller, to review what the issues were, to make sure that any violations that were cited accurately, things like that. It also gives you the opportunity, if they have set-asides, to go back through those and challenge any violations that you might be cited for. Go back to that buddy file and say, oh, yes, I did do this, right? So keep that in mind.
Dan says, can you tell me the things on the Form 4473 that I can highlight in yellow? Currently, I have all my paper forms revision highlighted because I used the wrong form a couple times, but I would like to highlight areas missed by the buyer, such as 18A, B, county, etc. Dan, quickly, Dan, first of all, you can highlight anything on the 4473. We've been told by ATF that highlighting is not changing or editing or converting a form in any way.
Yeah, the only thing you can't highlight are the correct responses and the prohibited person questionnaire.
Hope you're right about that, JC.
Yeah, don't highlight all the no's. Don't do that. But things people normally miss, like county, you can highlight county so they realize it's county. Highlight place of birth, city and state. Highlight recertification. Highlight box 32 when you put in the expiration date of the background check. Things like that you can highlight.
And for all of you who don't know, we have the Before You Begin guide for first-time gun buyers on our website under Forms and Tools. Just go download it. It's a cheat sheet. It's the simplified instructions for anybody who's never filled out a 4473 or hasn't done one in a while. Go download it, print it, edit it to your state, whatever requirements if you have to change anything, and print it on bright yellow paper, neon paper, and laminate it and leave it wherever someone fills out the forms or keys their information into your software. Make everybody read it. We have a lot of folks who we support through warning, revocation, and corrective actions for a couple of years now. They make every gun customer read that form, even if they were in yesterday to fill out a form. You have to read it so you get it right and you don't make a mistake and don't make my life miserable and don't ruin my business and don't jeopardize my FFL. Here's the instructions, read it, then start your form. It's easy. For those of you who adopt it, it's great. We get great feedback. For everybody else, it's out there available for you on the website. Okay. And another hint, don't highlight any things that are missing on your 4473s that you're going to go back and bring attention to maybe during an inspection. Hint, hint. I can't say that. I can't really say what I would like to say here, but use sticky notes. If you're missing, if a customer has to fill something in, use sticky notes. I wouldn't go highlighting everything you have to fix after the transfer of the firearm. If you need more information on that, give us a call.
All right, JB.
Last one here. I always ask the customer, okay. Measure 114 is blocked by injunction. Thanks, Greg. To the best of my knowledge, there currently is no enforced magazine ban in Oregon, according to Greg. So if anybody else can support that.
But last I looked, it was July was the last time. But thanks, Greg, for bringing that up.
Eric says, will we be cited, penalized for having a firearm inventory or transaction number at the top corner of a 4473? The answer is no.
There's a TTSN box there for your use. It is optional.
Yeah. In the old days, that was a transaction serial number. They've changed that, simply changed that to transaction number. And you could use that for any method of record keeping that you deem necessary or that you have in-house. But if you have a number up there in the form, in the box, and you're using it to correspond to your your bound book, in lieu of listing addresses for customers, or names for customers in the bound book disposition area, those forms have to be filed in order. So be careful with that. You can't have those forms out of order and missing or skipped numbers if you're using that process and that system as a shortcut for listing name and addresses in the disposition side of your bound book. Have any more questions on that? Give us a ring. Don't make that mistake. You'll be cited. I will give you, okay. So I think that's it, guys. It's, hour and 40 minutes where we are. More than 100 of you still with us. Thank you for staying with us. It's recorded. It'll be out the end of this week. Go get signed up for FFLC Academy. Early adopters are going to be benefited by getting in early. Just a hint on that one. Get in there, get registered, get your employees into these first 3 courses. These are the only 3 free courses. I keep reiterating, free. At some point we have to charge. There'll be additional courses as we progress month by month. There'll probably be a pay or VIP program membership only. So, hey, go in there, get your people signed up now so they can take advantage of the freebies while they last. And we appreciate everything you guys do. And let us know if we can help you in any way. JC, what do you got?
JB, have a great afternoon. Everybody, wish the FFL I'm with this week good luck tomorrow in our revocation hearing. I think we're going to do all right.
All right, guys. Happy August. We'll see you in September. Stay tuned.